Hey man, let's freaking go, dude. Let's freaking go. Darren Mougey, Aaron Glenn hit an absolute home run, A-plus, top tier press conference, right? What a way to introduce yourself to the New York Jets. You know, when this coaching search first kicked off, one of the biggest things that we were talking about on the channel is finding the best leader, finding the best culture builder, right? We could talk about offense, we could talk about defense, we could talk about, all these different things. Personally, my number one thing that I wanted the New York Jets to do was find the best culture changer. Find that guy who's going to bring accountability. Find that guy who's going to set the standard. Find that guy who's going to command players' respect. And after watching that, I mean, how does that not get you fired up as a Jet fan? Like, dude, Aaron Glenn's speech was freaking killer. That just gets you fired up, man. Like that's what makes you proud to be a Jet fan. Like listening to Aaron Glenn talk positively about the Jets for months on end. We've had reporters and reports and all these people, everyone just taking shots at this team. No one's going to want this job. It's a dumpster fire, this, that, negative thing here, negative thing there. Listen to Aaron Glenn talk. Listen to Darren Mougey talk. This was a desired destination. Aaron Glenn wanted to come here. And again, like if you're a fan of this football team, again, if you're a Jet fan after listening to that, you're on top. Like your day is just that much better. Let's talk about Darren Mougey first, though, right? What an adult. What an adult. And that's such a nice change of pace, compared to listening to the previous regime, right? Constantly making excuses. It's constantly someone else's fault. It's constantly, some other issue going on, and it's never their fault. With Darren Mougey, he just, although he's only 39 years old, although he's never been a general manager before, you just got a sense of professionalism. Maybe that's, because he spent all his executive career, post-playing career with one team, the Denver Broncos, working, with George Payton, obviously, as of late. And Muji kind of being that right hand to George Payton as assistant general manager. Like, you just got that sense of, hey, no job is too big for me. Yeah, there are going to be some challenges here, but we are well aware. We know what's in front of us, and we're going to accomplish them. It also really felt like Darren Mougey and Aaron Glenn were on the same page. It didn't feel like a forced marriage at all. It didn't feel rigid or rough or anything. It felt smooth. It felt like Darren Mougey wants to work with Aaron Glenn, and Aaron Glenn wants to work with Darren here. Like that's awesome. I loved how he was talking about how those two guys together are going to be, moving in lockstep together, right, hand in hand in this thing to turn around this franchise. One interesting quote that I loved was draft and develop. That is going to be the key. No more band-aids, no more quick fixes, no more shortcuts. Initially I liked the Jets' direction when JD first took over. I liked some of their moves. I liked how they were kind of building the roster up. It really felt like there was a focus on adding talented young players building through the draft, right? The Sam Darnold trade, getting more picks, Jamal Adams getting more picks. Hey, we got to start this thing over and build this thing up from the bottom. And then about midway through, it just felt like, nope, we're having this shift. We're having this, just massive shift within the organization to speed things up. We have to get to the Super Bowl championship as soon as possible. I liked how Darren Mougey, because look, the Jets are a 5-win team. They're spending millions and upon millions of dollars on this roster. There's veterans all over the place. First round pick, like there's so many names, so many quote unquote stars on this team. And it all resulted in 5 wins. I liked how Darren Mougey, it feels like he has a realistic view of this roster. And I liked how it doesn't, at least I didn't get the sense, right? Of course, things can change, but I didn't get the sense that there was going to be quick fixes and okay, we have to rush and get to the Super Bowl as quickly as possible. We have to unseat the Buffalo Bills to win the division as soon as possible. It's no, we are going to build sustained success. And that was kind of one of the terms that we use, that was used throughout the course of the press conference here. So I thought Darren Mougey, absolute professional, absolute adult, nice, just breath of fresh air, nice change of pace compared to what we've been dealing with over these last 6 years here. And I'm excited. Although he's young, he seems qualified for the job. And obviously, tons of recommendations coming in from all the Denver Broncos connections, whether it's a Sean Payton, whether it's a George Payton. I like the little bit where Muji was talking about the interview originally years ago with Aaron Glenn and how that went so well. Just totally cool. And then we look at Glenn's presser. A+. Man. That just that's exactly, again, as a Jet fan, I've been dying to hear someone actually talk positively about this football team. And I'm talking about people within the organization, because it's just been nothing but negativity, nothing but finger pointing, nothing but, just taking the blame and just dispersing it elsewhere. Aaron Glenn you just get that leader vibe. You just get that culture changer type of vibe immediately. Literally the second he took the stand, commanding the room. People were listening. Got a couple questions early on, just answers immediately. There's no I don't knows. There's no, we're going to focus on that later. I loved how he just addressed the Aaron Rodgers thing right out and got out in front of it. Nope, we're going to bring it up right now, and it's going to be a discussion. We have not made our final decision on anything. Me and Darren are going to look at the roster, and we're going to move forward. Nothing more that needs to be said about it. I love it. I do not get the sense at all that Aaron Glenn, and again, maybe I'm jumping the gun here. This is literally the press conference just ended. But I don't get the sense that Aaron Glenn is going to be bullied by ownership, bullied by the media, or very involved with, the storylines and, the negative articles that are going to be, written about this team. I get the sense that Aaron Glenn is really going to do a good job of just spearheading this thing in the right way and just always attacking the day, always attacking, the weeks, the practices, the games, the game preparation, whatever you want to, meetings, draft prep, free agency meetings, all that stuff. He's going to be attacking it with a new vision, a new identity, which I love because, again, we've been clamoring for that as Jets fans for a long, long, long time. When the question came up of accountability, right? Aaron Glenn didn't beat around the bush. Aaron Glenn didn't say, I don't know. Aaron Glenn did not try to squirm his way out of the question and give, some vanilla thing. No, he had an answer immediately. How do you do it? You give it by responsibility. You give players responsibility. I love that answer. Absolutely loved that. I loved how AG talked about, all the coaches that he's been able to work with, whether it's on the player side, like a Parcells, like an Al Groh, whether it's, on the coaching side, Dan Campbell, Sean Payton. I loved how he gave examples. I loved how he kind of shined light on his backstory a little bit. I mean, that stuff is totally cool. And that was one of the biggest draws, at least for me when kind of speculating and talking about Aaron Glenn. It was the connection to all these great coaches. You don't pass with flying colors. Working with a Dan Campbell, working with a Ben Johnson, working with a Sean Payton, a Bill Parcells, right? All Pete Carroll back in the day. All of these different great coaches. You don't get held in such a high regard by all of these different coaches, all of these different legends of the game, if you aren't the real deal. That's how I looked at it, right? Especially if these guys are willing to help out. We've heard Sean Payton kind of behind the scenes working, with obviously the whole Darren Mougey thing, but also with the Aaron Glenn side of it. We've heard Bill Parcells kind of in the background. This stuff is really, really, really important. If Aaron Glenn was not well respected, if Aaron Glenn just wasn't really the right man for the job, no one really felt like he was going to be a head coach, he wouldn't be, again, passing with flying colors with every single, again, legendary coach that seems to pop up here. I just feel like that's not really realistic or in the cards. So I absolutely loved it. And I think too, I guess we'll end it here because I really want to see, where you guys stand on this as well. But I loved how Glenn kind of mirrored Darren Mougey with the approach of, it's not about rushing. It's not about getting to the end destination as quickly as possible. Hey, if the Jets win the Super Bowl next year, fantastic. But it's not what it's about. It's about sustained success over time. And I feel like on this channel, for years, I've been one of the things I've been wanting the New York Jets to try to accomplish is turning into a team like the Baltimore Ravens, turning into a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, turning the team into, take your pick on any well-ran organization, the Green Bay Packers, the Buffalo Bills, where you have your power structure, you know exactly who you are, you know exactly where you want to be, you know your formula and you go about the business, right? You go about it week after week, year after year. You're constantly in contention. You're constantly a threat to other teams. You're constantly in the mix, playing meaningful football games in December, as opposed to kind of down year, spike up with a lot of offseason hype, and it doesn't really work out. And then it's just pure chaos, pure pandemonium, freaking out. Guys are getting fired. I just want that sustained success, that just constant in the mix, well-ran franchise. We know who we are, and eventually we are going to, get to the dance here. But man, I'm fired up. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Darren Mougey, Aaron Glenn hit an absolute home run. Let's go. And as always, go Jets.